The ball is in their court, the words of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken after a much-awaited American letter was delivered to Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In it, Washington outlined its demands and its answers to Russian requirements. One of them, demanding that it be given assurances that Ukraine would never join NATO, was met with a firm no.
It reiterates what we've said publicly for many weeks and, in a sense, for many years. That we will uphold the principle of NATO's open door.
Another door the U.S. has kept open is diplomacy.
We're open to dialogue. We prefer diplomacy. And we're prepared to move forward where there is the possibility of communication and cooperation.
Some of those options include more transparency over military operations, limiting military exercises and missile deployments in Europe, and a new arms control treaty.
South Korea's military says the North launched 2 projectiles that appear to be short-range ballistic missiles toward the East Sea. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said it detected the suspected missiles at 8 a.m. and 8:05 a.m. This is the 6th launch this month, coming just 2 days after the North fired 2 cruise missiles on Tuesday. It said the missiles traveled 190 kilometers at an altitude of 20 kilometers, and said the U.S. and South Korean intelligence agencies are assessing the matter to verify further details. It also said that it's closely monitoring the situation to be ready for any additional launches. Because they traveled a relatively short distance and at a lower altitude, experts say the missiles may have involved a super large caliber multiple rocket launcher called KN-25, or an apparent variant of Russia's Iskander, KN-23.
Lebanon has signed a deal with Jordan to bolster its unreliable electricity supply by bringing in electricity over land via Syria. 250 megawatts of electricity will amount to 2 more hours per day with the lights on, but the minister says it needs 2 months to firm up the details. For many, 2 extra hours would double their current supply from the mains. But some are sceptical that the deal will fix the problem. The deal was brokered by the US and is expected to be funded in part by the World Bank. But the bank has made it clear that's contingent on the government completely reforming the electricity sector.
Can you survive this, Prime Minister?
Leaving Downing Street, now the subject of a police investigation, and hoping to persuade his party in Parliament to move on from the parties in number 10. In truth, many people have already decided whether they believe Boris Johnson over what's referred to as Partygate, the latest twist including one loyal MP claiming the Prime Minister had been ambushed with a birthday cake at a celebration in June 2020. In Parliament, Johnson was asked yet again about his assurances last month that there'd been no parties and that no COVID-19 rules had been broken.
The Ministerial Code says that ministers who knowingly mislead Parliament will be expected to offer their resignation. Does the Prime Minister believe that applies to him?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, of course, but let me tell the House that I think he's inviting a question about an investigation which, as you know, Mr. Speaker, I can't comment.
Prince Andrew is demanding a trial by jury and has formally denied all the allegations against him as he gave a court in New York his official response to allegations of sexual assault. Virginia Giuffre accuses the Duke of York of forcing her to have sex more than 2 decades ago at the London home of the convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. The 11-page document sets out the Duke's detailed response, strongly denying that he abused Ms. Giuffre when she was 17.
Eskom says the explosion that happened in August last year at the Medupi power station was due to non-compliance with procedures. The utility's Chief Operations Officer, Jan Oberholzer, says action will be taken against those who failed to follow proper procedure, resulting in damage of 2.5 billion rand. Oberholzer adds that while Eskom tries its best to avoid situations like these, Eskom will revert to load shedding if the system comes under strain. Meanwhile, planned outages at Koeberg will spell power cuts.
Their families were among the 800,000 French citizens who fled their homes when Algeria gained independence. Nearly 60 years later, Emmanuel Macron recognized the pain of those born in colonial Algeria, known as Pieds Noirs. He acknowledged massacres of European Algerians, including one in which dozens of anti-independence protesters were shot by French forces in Algiers.
60 years later, France recognizes this tragedy, and I say it today loud and clear: the massacre of the 26th of March 1962 is unforgivable for the French Republic.